So, a moment of confession. I've grown tired of talking about COVID, and this Church Beyond the Building is not about COVID. It's about something that's been percolating in my head and the head of some staff and leadership since before COVID hit. And that actually starts with Scripture, and it starts with the Scripture in Acts chapter 2 and verse 46, where it says, "Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who are being saved." And I love this scripture, and I love it in part because it gives if not the model for what a good, healthy, vibrant church should be, right? We gather together in the temple courts, and we gather together in homes and break bread and live life together with one another. That's what the church over the millennia has done, is it's always been temple courts and home. It is always temple and home, temple and home. In West Michigan, that's honestly worked together pretty well often, especially if you grew up here and your family's from here. If you were in a church where you and your family were related to the other half of church, those connections were easy, and it often happened at grandma's house after church for coffee, right? You would go to church, there would be the temple experience, and then afterwards you would go to this place where you knew others and were known, and you would see cousins and aunts and uncles and all these people that had relationships, and it functioned and it worked really well. The problem is American society has continued to change, and that doesn't work as well anymore. For some of us, it continues to be great, and that's awesome. But if you're not related to people at this place, at this church and community, it's hard. If you move in from the outside, it can be hard. And generally, our society has broken down the family into smaller and smaller units that are more and more disconnected from one another. The sense of temple and home has been harder to achieve. And so that's why we're going to try something new, to build in places of connection and community in this time of disconnection. And so we're starting a program that we're calling community groups. We're trying this out. This isn't a long-term commitment, but we want to build places that help people connect with one another as a primary purpose as we learn about one another and listen to where God's leading. But places of connection first, and then we learn and grow together. And what we're going to do is we're going to start these. They're going to run from sometime mid-late October up till Christmas, and we're going to do it as a trial balloon. If it doesn't work, that's fine. There's no commitment beyond. But in this time of disconnection, we want to build in places for deep, meaningful connection where we can live the nitty-gritty of life out with one another. Because at the end of the day, I think we know we're not always just looking as a church or individually. We don't live just off of inspiration. We can't live just off of an inspirational message or song. We need connection and community. And what we really long for and what we as a church value is transformation. And that happens not just through a public service, but normally through conversation and interaction with people and places where we know others and are known in return. We don't want just inspiration. We long for transformation, and that happens in community. So as this season rolls on, we want to invite you and your family or whoever is watching this to think about joining us for a season to try to build community, to discover transformation, and to prayerfully consider joining and being part of this trial to see where God is leading you and me and all of us together. Grace and peace, friends.